What's going on, family? How is everybody doing? Do you have your libations? Do you have whatever you need to get through the show today? That's what I want to know. How is everybody doing? I hope everybody is wonderful amid everything that's going on in the world. We got a lot to talk about. A lot of stuff that people may say is divisive, but if that is not my way sometimes, because this is a divisive space that we're in. So we're gonna get into it. If you have not actually taken the time to like and subscribe and get notifications, please take the time to do that. I would appreciate it. Please like, please hit that bell. Please subscribe if you have not already subscribed. Please do that. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please do that. What else do we need you to do? If you want to donate, go to donatebrown.com, patreon.com/ycarnell. But sub into the channel. That is absolutely free. Hitting that like button is free to you. It's like, it's like 900 people here and 392 likes. I just hit the like button for me. That's free. And also, if you want to, please go to subscribe to brown.com. I would appreciate that as well. Please do not forget the next month, I think it's the 30th of the last Thursday in July, we will be reading this book. So please do not forget. Please do not forget about this book, Immigration and the Remaking of Black America. That is by Todd G. Hamilton. Please, 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 please take the time and pick that up. Please, please, please pick that up. Because we're going to have, the funniest thing is that this has already caused like a conversation. So we're already having the conversation online about this. So please, please, please take the time and do that. What else? There was one other thing I wanted to say, and I know I'm going to think about it once I get into the show. It just happens that way. Once you get into the show, I think about something, and I'm like, oh, I know but it's the wrong time. And then by the end of the show, I can't figure it out anymore. But please make sure you do that. I'm trying to make some changes to the newsletter as well. All this good stuff, fam. So, fam, listen, we got a lot to talk about, and it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. Now, today was a very interesting day. Would you not agree? Let me move some stuff around here so I have room to maneuver. I have to have room to do my thing. So today was a very interesting day, and this was kind of the beginning of the day. This was kind of the beginning of the day. That's why I tried to, and I didn't mean no disrespect. I never mean any kind of disrespect, but I tried to draw a little Kente cloth, and behind me, it didn't turn out right. But by the time it didn't come out right, it was too late. But this was and I want everybody to talk. I want everybody to understand the framing of what we saw today and how it's anchored in the movement and how this movement is going on. See, we've been talking a lot. Rest in peace. Ahmaud Arbery, rest in peace, Breonna Taylor, rest in peace, George Floyd. We've been talking about all of those people, right? But what we haven't, something has gone unsaid that should not have gone unsaid. And I'm not going to say it in a disrespectful way because I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to start a fight with anybody. I am trying to be supportive. Shout out to the organizers because this was a powerful moment. And I think this moment was necessary. But when I look at that Kente cloth, when I see this Kente cloth, and when I see how people were claiming they own Kente cloth around the web, Ghanaians were saying that's my Kente cloth. And I believe them, that is your Kente cloth, and we should give it back. Right? I believe it. I'm with you. These people done appropriated what is a part of your culture. And that was wrong, 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 wrong. This right here was wrong. You just got to call a spade a spade. That's what it is. And it was a ridiculous spectacle. It was a ridiculous spectacle. We have said time and time again, family, I don't know how much longer we're going to have to say it. But we have said time and time again that we are here for policy solutions, not for a spectacle. But the problem that we have is that the people who have been saying that, we don't want spectacles and we don't want none of that stuff. We don't want we don't want symbolic gimmicks. The problem is that the only people who have been saying that are ADOS. The only people who have been planting our flag and anchoring ourselves in our contribution, our oppression, a very specific conversation we've been having. The only people who have been doing that as a lineage and a political project is ADOS. And so when I look at this, when I look at this little thing we got going on right here, what I see and what jumps out at me is that, yeah, everybody, and it's a given that we made fun of it. We've always said, we're ADOS, we're very specific. The Ghanaians came out and said today, you doggone Skippy, we specific too. We don't need y'all jumping in and stealing the Kente cloth. And honestly, let me see if I can find that tweet. Yeah, they were saying, we don't need you coming in and stealing that. We got this. That's ours. Give it back. But what we won't own, and this is the flaw that people don't want to talk about, and I've given it time. I've tried to give it time, but when the people come out wearing the Kente cloth, then I have to speak about it, because there's no other period where anybody would have said anything bad about them wearing the Kente cloth. If they had did this 4, 8, 12 years ago when a Kenyan white was president, with a Kenyan and a white parent, Barack Obama, he's American, but you're talking about your parentage. Nobody would have said anything. Everybody would have said, we're global, we're Pan-Africanist, we wear the Kente cloth. How many, and Cobra still goes around wearing the Kente cloth. Like, these other groups are anchored in that. This is an ADOS moment. The fact that this backlash is here is attributable to nobody but ADOS. See, you have this Kente cloth moment is created by a bunch of different groups. And I'm not being disrespectful, but when you have like this globalist Black Lives Matter initiative, which is a globalized effort to do something that they are real confused about. When you have in Cobra, that's a global effort to do something that I don't really understand. What you have is this confused and scatteredness. So like everybody's making fun of this, and we don't understand that a lot of the same people who are making fun of it are a lot of the same people who built it. You all built a world where we're all Africans. And so when they come out in this, the only thing that they're doing, the only thing that they're being in this moment is what you taught them to be. You taught everybody that we would wear Kente cloth and we wear little African things around our neck. What was that thing? Y'all remember that? Everybody was wearing it when I was in high school. I don't know what you call it. It was a little thing. Hold on a second. Maybe I can see it. I can find it. It was a little thing, right? It was a, what was it, family? An unk? Somebody said an unk. Well, maybe that's what it was. They was wearing the little things and all this stuff, and it was all red, black, and green time. So you're laughing at them now, not understanding when I say we, I don't mean us as ADOS, but I'm talking about what we built in terms of our politics. What they built in terms of our politics. So let me just say this. Because you have to go through, because I'm trying to have care. And normally I'm trying to be very nuanced, because everybody's in a space and everybody wants to support the protest, and I'm down. I understand it's a righteous moment, righteous indignation, righteous anger, the knee on the neck. I support that, and I support the organizers, and I support the people on the ground, because I ain't seen Alicia Garza and all these other people on the ground, because as far as I seen before this, people were talking about how they didn't want to be associated with Black Lives Matter. I'm tired of this. I want to write plays, and I want to write poetry, or whatever you write, whatever you do with your life. That's what you said you wanted to do. You said you didn't want to be the Black Lives Matter person anymore. And now you sitting in the middle of the road. Like you, Fanny. Fanny didn't come and go. She stayed with it. Y'all, we all had I had them little necklaces, them little cowrie shell necklaces, them little cheap things. But listen, I'm talking to people in the chat who are talking about the little African stuff the people used to have back in the day. If you didn't see the chat, that's what I'm talking about. But we have a group of people right now. And see, it's okay to scream out Black Lives Matter, because that's become a slogan, and our lives do matter, right? And so, but you have to understand that the people who are screaming that slogan, a lot of them are not associated with a local group. And even that local group might not be associated with the national. And all of a sudden, we're looking at a situation where everybody's sending, you know how many white people I saw online were screenshotting their checks, and 10,000 here and 5,000 here. It's a lot of money collected for people. I didn't see Alicia Garza out there nowhere. Right? I mean, it's kind of like, what do I look like if if reparations becomes a movement and everybody's on the street and with ADOS t-shirts on? What I look like somewhere just in front of the camera? You can't do that. And you can't lead that. You have not been leading. And so what happens is, when you have a person or a group that hasn't been leading in a space, and people just want to attribute something to them, and because white people don't know no difference, child, they just running around and trying to give money and trying to feel better. And some of them really don't like what's going on, and they getting out there and they getting beat on too, and they giving it to where they can give it to. I'm not necessarily faulting them for not knowing, but we have to be honest about like this energy that was built, and how some people are just walking out and getting in front of it when you weren't behind it and you didn't create it. And we have to be honest about, I mean, I'm not saying I haven't even heard any clear thinking. First of all, we're talking about defunding the police, right? Understand that doesn't fix race. It's good to, listen, I'm all for changes to policing and reimagining some things. But we have to have, listen, it's 400 years in this country, people. It's time for a fix. After this is over, whatever they do or don't get passed, Flint still has dirty water. We are still met with the same problems that we've been met with. Remember what I say all the time about playing whack-a-mole. We can't play whack-a-mole. And I think we have to understand that you have a group in BLM that brought us Kente cloth politics in terms of a global initiative, worldwide, or whatever the heck. And you have to understand what that means. This started in Minneapolis, right? Not in terms of BLM, but in terms of the murder. We talk about George Floyd. That's where that started at. And no one was chanting Black Lives Matter. Then LA comes, and the next day, no one was still chanting. Day 3, something starts to happen. And people start making like professional signs, right? To kind of get in front of a certain kind of energy that is on the street. But it's energy that you're not a part of, that you didn't create, but you jump in front of it and try to explain it from the backward. Explain it from the back. Y'all remember how Obama they say Obama, he leads from behind. That's kind of what y'all did, ain't it? You just kind of led from behind. You haven't done any of the political foundational education. So let's talk about what you have been doing. Let's not be negative and talk about what has not been happening. Let's talk about what has been happening. Let's just do a review of who everybody is. So you got Patrice Cullors, and you have Alicia Garza, and you have Opal. So anyway, so you have these people, and the energy of this movement. Please hear me when I say this. The energy of this movement was built largely around, 100% around ADOS people. ADOS people from Sandra Bland, but mostly black men at first. Remember, we had Trayvon, we had Ferguson, we had Michael Brown. Then you go to Baltimore, and so you have this consequence, right, of who we are in this country and how we are systematically abused. And so the slogan is Black Lives Matter. That's what we're going to do. That's who we are. All of a sudden, there's kind of a switch. You come in there as your black people, these black women, they're going to do it. And there's kind of a switch in terms of what happens. So here's what happens. This is from their website, the Black Lives Matter website, where I just pulled from right there. So this is what they say. Now I want you to see how everything shifted. Just follow me, and this shift cannot be. This shift doesn't make any sense. So so if you go to the Black Lives Matter page, after it says, it gives you who they are. So we are a collective of liberators who believe in an inclusive and spacious movement. We also believe that in order to win and bring as many people with us along the way, we must move beyond the narrow nationalism that is too prevalent in black communities. We must ensure we are building a movement that brings all of us to the front. I agree, we should bring all of us to the front. But nationalism, when you have, understand me when I say this, when you have a movement that is built on race and anchored in how we have been systematically oppressed, that is a nationalistic. I don't know how you move beyond nationalism, because that's a nationalistic argument. What happened to us in America. That's where we were sold off to, and that's where we have been, and what we have been oppressed, and how everything has happened to. That is nationalistic. It is not global. And when you try to make it global, you make a mistake. Then you go here. We affirm the lives of black, queer, and trans folks, disabled folks, undocumented folks, folks with records, women, and all black lives along the gender spectrum. Our network centers those who have been marginalized within black liberation movements. So what you basically did was this. That line right there is key. Our network centers those who have been marginalized within black liberation movements. I want you to pay close attention to that. What they are telling black men is that you have no place here. We will build our movement on your bodies, whether it's Walter Scott, Freddie Gray, including black women, but like, we will build our movement on your bodies, but you have no place here, because we had King and we had Malcolm, and we're not going to do black male leadership anymore. Now, I'm not saying that there is no sexism in the black community. Hell, I've experienced some of it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that a movement, you have carved black men out of a movement. You have done to black men what you say was done to black women in previous movements, and you have centered not only black women, but you have centered like black queer. Listen, we're all under the same umbrella. You don't have to say, I'm going to center this group. If you allow it to grow and things to grow and to build the way they're supposed to build, people who are apt to be leaders will rise. Look at the chapters. Look at the ADOS chapters. People who rise. Leaders rise. That's just the way it happens. You have marginalized the group that you used. So you stepped on the back of black bodies and black male bodies too, mostly to get where you are. And then you said you will not be centered in this movement. This kind of division is not good. If you want to lead, you just lead. You don't say you're not going to be in this space and we're going to highlight other people in this space. And see, you don't have to call out disabled ADOS, because disabled ADOS are already included in this framework that we're doing. We're just not excluding them. You don't have to, that's not necessary. We include them in everything we do. And I don't understand why you talk about, well, black immigrants and blah, 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 blah. Well, that undercuts what we're talking about in terms of reparation. Yes, you should have, when a Botham Jean or anybody else who has a background for someone, anytime you're hurt or anything, we stand with you all the time. But in terms of reparations, it doesn't make any sense. So what you kind of did, you kind of all lives mattered except for black men, and that's not going to work. And I don't think people have really. I think some people in the chat have, but I don't think everybody's picked up on what's happening and why in terms of movement work and movement advocacy, if they are the ones who get in front and take the energy, I don't know if you understand that it won't work. And if white supremacy is smart, and it is, they'll just give them a little bit of something for everybody. All black people and your Latino brothers, whatever. It will give you something for everybody and just tell you to shut up. And you will, because you'll get a bag. Right? A lot of advocacy bags are out there. A lot of advocacy bags are apparently out there. It's really, really something. So I look back and I ask myself, sometimes, well, what were they doing? While we were doing book clubs and while we were having conversations and doing the data and anchoring and having conferences, I'm just trying to figure out, I know you did the black census, and I'm going to get to that, which didn't make much sense. But what else what have y'all been up to? And you see stuff like this, like Free 21 Savage is on their website. And no disrespect to 21 Savage. But it looks to me like even the move to advocate was a move to advocate for immigration. And a move to kind of advocate. A move to advocate for immigrant populations, right? That's what it looks like to me. I don't know how this is considered real work. And I say it looks like that because this is something else that you have in terms of what you've been doing. Black Lives Matter Global Network activists from the state of California and a consortium of BLM activists from across the country gathered at the San Diego border to demand just and humane treatment of migrants and refugees seeking asylum in the United States. Now, wait a minute. I don't know how this fits. So you can't do this and then demand reparations. And I don't know why you're doing this considering the positionality of the group that you're in. Let me just, we haven't done data in like 3 or 4 shows, I think. So let me just put this up again. Just so people know, if you're new here, just so you'll understand. The bottom 50% of black households worth less than $1. And we're talking about overwhelmingly, we're talking about, we've been here 400 years. And we still don't have the wealth to be American. And so the move that we're talking about needs to be a move where we discuss, where we demand inheritance. When we talk about the plundering, just leave it up for 1 second. When we talk about the plundering of America, or the ADOS America, that's what we are. So it says something to me if you center yourself in LGBTness or transness or immigrantness or whatever ness you want to center yourself in, that's not just like the life, just the life of ADOS. You get into a point where it doesn't make sense. And this is what you've been doing. So now you can't get out in front and say, no, we was here all the time. You ain't see us. We was in the back. Yeah, I had on a straw hat and some little pinwheel shoes. Or something. You little pointy toed shoes. Elf shoes. You didn't see me over there? No, I didn't see you. And it doesn't, and I don't, and I will work with anybody. Understand, I would. I don't have none. I'm not a person who wouldn't. If you center yourself, but the thing is, for me, I'm a person, you just got to make sense. If you make sense, we're good. You got to center it on ADOSness and the plunder and our inheritance and generational wealth and what we're owed. If you center it there, we're fine. You can't center it on like some kind, make this some kind of vanity project. I'm not here for vanity projects. I'm not here for a Vogue shoot. I'm not here for something where you feel special because you've centered yourself and other queer people. That's not what ADOS life is about. Our life, understand, our life, the most consequential thing to ADOS life. I don't care who you are. If you're a trans person, if you're gay, lesbian, disabled, it does not matter. The most consequential thing to your life is wealth. Because you cannot be American without wealth. And what has happened to us has been a systemic plunder. If you don't anchor yourself in that, then we can't move forward. And it's not we can't move forward because Yvette is divisive. No, I don't got nothing against nobody. I love everybody. But you have to make sense. And if you're anchoring yourself, in something other than that doesn't make sense. Because George Floyd died, mostly unemployed with coronavirus in his body. And if you want to talk about why he was there and why the police tackled him and put their knee on his neck, you have to talk about wealth. It's not just about police brutality. Is one part of a much bigger thing. You have to talk about what he didn't have and why he didn't have it. You have to talk about Somalians being placed in the refugees being placed there, and they're being resettled with money and he not having any. You have to talk about the generational wealth that we are missing, because that is what defines him even being there in the moment where he was killed by police. That is the defining moment of his life. And it is not just defined by brutality. It is defined by the brutality of America that put him there on the ground. And if you don't understand that, then you don't understand me, and you don't understand ADOS life. And there is no start for us. There is no place for us to have a conversation if you can't get there. You got to get there. And America got to get there, because America got to understand. Listen, America, I'm talking to you. America has got to understand what places us in systems of precariousness. America has got to understand. We got white America in the street right now. Y'all have got to understand what led to that. You have got to understand why Walter Scott ran from the police. You got to understand why Sandra Bland was so frustrated when she out there trying to find a job. She's out there trying to find a job, and some racist cop pulls her over, and all she wants to do is smoke a cigarette because she's stressed out and she's anxious and she got to pay some stuff now, and we don't have money to pay some stuff. And then he pulls her out that car and dehumanizes her. You have got to understand who we are. See, if you don't understand who we are, there is no way forward for us. And that's not my fault. Once you get that, we can move. I can move together in unison with people who get that. But you got to get there. You got to get there. You cannot center this other stuff. You have to understand what gets us to the police. You got to understand the thing in this country. Police protect property. Police protect wealth. Why we ain't got none? That Antonio on the show, on his previous show, showed that the Cup Foods, where George Floyd was at, was a place where, it had been redlined. Where we couldn't buy property previously. And then you had a congresswoman come in there with Ilhan Omar, who came in and started talking about ICE all the time and immigration all the time. I need people. I need allies if we're going to do anything together. I always offer out olive branches. Here's one. You have to understand how we got here. You have to understand how we got over-policed. And you have to make that and fixing that your priority. That's what has to happen. If you want to know what has to happen for ADOS to move together with anybody else, it doesn't matter who it is. That's what has to happen. If you don't understand that, if you're just centering queerness or women or whatever because it hasn't happened before, that's not a collective. That's you wanting to be in a position where you can shine. That's you wanting to be in a position where because women ain't never been there, or you the first bi, gay, or whatever. That's not a collective. We have to move as a collective. We are a tribe, whether anybody understands it or not. It's not my business. And see, when you don't do it right, you get stuff like this. When you don't center it on that inheritance and on the theft, you get stuff like what Billy Porter gave us. Billy Porter was reading. First of all, everybody, I understand. I look at notes too. We all look at notes. It happens. Don't just go on Instagram, whatever, and read. Aren't you in the theater, sir? Aren't you in the theater? Don't just go on there and just read from the paper. Memorize, sir. Memorize your lines and one. So, Mr. Billy Porter got on there and started talking some stuff. He was talking some good stuff about race. And then he started talking some stuff about, and see, the black community, you all oppress gay people. And so, and so you're gonna have to own that. And it's time for you to own that. This is what happens when you have people who get in front of a movement or whatever, who are scattered and who really aren't into it and who really don't understand that this is about generational wealth. You leave room for little Billy Porter to come in here and start talking about something we ain't even talking about. And we all know that homophobia is tied to a kind of church understanding. So it's tied to people who are more likely to be evangelical. There was a study I saw a while ago that it's tied over mostly even more than black people, but tied to like evangelical white Christians. But this is a thing that's tied to how you interpret religion. This is not it's not your time right now to bring your trauma into a generational wealth thing. This is the direction we're moving. It's not your time. It's a lot of people that should get a lot more therapy. You get a lot of money, go get some therapy. I'm not saying that what your mama or daddy done to you is right. That stuff was messed up and you need to handle that in therapy, but it's not to be handled right now. It's not to be handled, and things are not the same as they were 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. And if you're gonna talk about discrimination, I need a lot of you with your rainbow shirts on to talk about how much white gay establishment discriminate against blacks. How they went from having R&B night to Latino night. If you're going to talk about it, let's talk about it. You want me to talk about it? Because y'all aren't telling the truth in this moment. You're doing some all lives matter stuff. See, black people do it too. See, black people, they discriminate against gay people. And so, you know, and so everybody needs to change. This is just a moment for everybody to change. That's scattered. It's unfocused. And we do not have the power as ADOS to oppress anybody. Regardless of what happened with you and the people in your community or whatever, we do not. How do you put ADOS on par with state-sponsored violence and oppression? How do you even mention us in that same sentence? What were you thinking? Listen, note to celebrities, some of y'all we don't need to hear from. We don't need to hear from everybody. You can sit down and shut up if you don't know what you're talking about, and you can read something and figure something out and come back later when you know more. And when we ask you why you ain't talking, you can say, I don't know enough and I'm reading 3 books right now. Leave me alone. And I'll leave it at that. But don't come in here putting people and individual biases, which I'm sure exist. They do exist, and I'm sure that probably existed in your world. You cannot put that on par with state-sponsored violence and like pathologized blackness. You can't do it. And then let me tell you something else. Billy Porter. Don't make no another video with you coming talking about how you went to a hog farm in a BMW. Well, you should have been scared. That's the dumbest thing in the world. Dude. Who goes to a hog farm in a BMW? And why would you tell me that story? And the little girl ran outside, and the little girl saw me, and I was black, and I was in the car, and I was with my white husband. I was so scared. I don't know what you was doing I don't know who invited you to the hog farm. I don't know what this is the weirdest story. Stop telling. I'm tired of people telling me weird stories. But let me tell you, I do appreciate you. I do appreciate you being one with the flag, though. I appreciate that about you, Billy Porter. I appreciate that. On Memorial Day, you stood with the flag and your funny glasses, and I sure do appreciate that because we gotta own the flag. This is our country, so you know if I'm gonna be positive, I appreciate you for going out there with your glasses on. You know, they some interesting glasses too. You know, you fashion icon or something. I'm not saying, and let me just say this too. listen, there are people who have said bad things about you because, you are flamboyant and that's what it is. You don't mind the haters. But most of us have allowed you to live your best life. We don't really bother you. Why you got to come out here and say that? We don't really bother you. You wore the thing and you did what you did. We ain't been bothering you. ADOS, we have not said anything. We let you live your best life. We did. Why you come out here and you gonna come at us like this? That don't make no sense. Did nothing to you. And let me just say this. It just don't make no sense. Some things just don't make sense. I don't know why people behave the way they just act the way they act. And then y'all had Beyonce coming out here looking like an android saying some of the same stuff. Like this is human rights and it's by everybody. And I got a petition. That's what happens when you allow your little movement or whatever you're trying to do to just be scattered and be about everybody. And it's a human rights thing and all this stuff. And I don't even know what's going on no more. And it's disjointed and you're not honing in on intergenerational and generational wealth that's passed down and stolen and looted from us. Everybody want to talk about looting. You want to have a conversation about what's been looted from us? Let's talk about looting. If you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. That's the conversation I've been waiting to have. You want to talk about that? I don't want to hear about all of this other stuff everybody's been acting like I want to hear about. I don't know why y'all do half the stuff y'all do. I don't know why you was at the border. I don't know what you were doing. I have no idea. Let me see if I can find this other clip real quick. Just crazy. People just, ooh-wee. Hold on a second. Everything just been so symbolic. Running around at the border, doing all kind of wild stuff. And even when you did the Stephon Clark stuff, what you did, I thought like, well, maybe there was a political push. Or maybe there was a push in a certain direction, right? That's what I thought. But see, I was wrong. It says, I said, well, Stephon Clark, maybe they really did something. Marking the 6-month anniversary of the murder of Stephon Clark, Black Lives Matter Global Network activists used 175 caskets to represent these lives and to magnify the impact that these fatalities have on our community. This action was intended to highlight the violence inflicted upon Black bodies by the police force and the urgent need to transform policing in America to call for justice. So basically what you did, let me see if I understand this. You used these caskets. You had a symbolic thing. You did something symbolic. Now here's the thing. You've been running around. You've been taking in a lot of money. You've been running around. And you've been taking in the monies, the monies. You've been taking the monies. But you do these symbolic things. I don't understand. I haven't seen any work that would lead anybody, me or anybody else, to think that you are the people to lead in this moment. I understand why people scream out Black Lives Matter. But I'm saying, we're at a point where you might want to start screaming out, if you are ADOS, you might start screaming out ADOS. And if you're a real white ally, you might need to scream out ADOS. Because these people are scattered, and this isn't going to go anywhere. If I was a white Republican, or even some of these white Democrats, I'd love for you to come to me and say, we're trying to center queerness and immigration, and we want to do reparations, but we have this hodgepodge plan. I give you a little bit of money and throw it at your way and tell you to get on. Like you tell it, get out my porch. Get. And then I didn't give you enough. It's not going to matter because you're not going to get all the protections and the redistributions and the policies that we've called for on this show. So it wouldn't matter. So it would be great to do that, actually. Like, if somebody was astute enough, if there was a white politician astute enough, that's the problem. That you can be, how you have positioned yourself lends you to get taken advantage of very easily. How you have aligned yourself lends you to get taken advantage of very easily. right? When you listen to this, and because you talk about, well, it's just very interesting. It's just all very interesting. I'm gonna bring it up in a second, though. I got something else I want to bring up, but I'm gonna bring it up in a second. It's all so interesting. I don't even know what's going on. What's going on, family? What are they doing? I don't know what's going on out in these political streets. I really don't understand. And I say this again. I don't mean no disrespect to nobody. Listen. I would love for people not to jump in front of this energy. Black lives do matter. We ADOS lives, because it's no just like black. That's silly. That's what they told us about the Kente cloth today. They told us, listen, that's our Kente cloth. They didn't say just black. They said, and I said, you're right, that's your Kente cloth. They shouldn't have stole your Kente cloth. I agree. It belongs to you. It don't belong to nobody else. That's your Kente cloth. No. But you have to see this flaw. Like, and I've kind of held my peace because I didn't want to come off as problematic, or Yvette's just trying to hate. So I let everything play itself out before I said anything, because I didn't want it to be perceived a certain way, So I let everything play out for the most part before I said anything. But you have to understand the flaw that exists. And it's a fatal flaw. Because it's a group that's not designed to uplift ADOS America, with reparations being the heartbeat and then a black agenda for everybody else. But reparations is the heartbeat specifically for ADOS. You can't have that. You can't not have that as this. You can't not anchor that, because if you don't anchor it, it just goes every which way. And so you get Billy Porter, you get I saw Mark Lamont Hill talking to Ben and Jerry's about the Palestinians. You get all kind of stuff if you don't anchor it. If you don't anchor it, if you say, what about everybody and all marginalized groups and all people you haven't anchored your message. You haven't. And if you do that, that's a problem. And I don't really know how else to say it. And even what you did, we've talked about this before, but just a quick recap of Alicia Garza's Dear Candidates, Here's What Black People Want. And she did this wrong. Remember, she did this wrong. It was in terms of the trans people in the population versus the ones in her study. But black communities, particularly black women, will be instrumental. And see, this is kind of the division. Remember, we've already covered how this is divisive, and even black men do way better than men of other groups in terms of supporting Democrats. So why is that line even there? Right? And then this is a class-based, this is not black. This is in terms of, this is not an ADOS plan. It says 90% of respondents, for example, say that it is a major problem that their wages are too low. And that figure jumps to 97% with those who are electorally engaged. Yeah. See, you have to know what we need as a group. You can't just be like, anybody's going to say our wages are too low. The question is, do you understand why our wages are too low? The most important issue for respondents were also most important issues facing the rest of the country. So you're saying we're the rest of the country. There's no kind of differentiating mechanism. So not only was the data bad, the case that you made was wrong. Low wages, low lack of respondents were also the most important issues facing the rest of the country. Low wages, lack of quality health care, substandard housing, rising college costs, and different set of rules. But that's just throwing everything. Just everything Bernie said or whatever. Throw all of that in there and call it like a black questionnaire thing. It doesn't make any sense. And so how do we end This is what you took years to do. This black census, which is really a Bernie census. To solve these challenges, respondents propose raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, making college affordable for anyone who wants to attend, and requiring the government to provide health care and adequate housing. You just wasted somebody's money. I don't know whose money you wasted, but you just wasted somebody's money, and you wasted my time. You wasted my time. And so I say all this to say, fam, before we go to the cause. You know, and I'm gonna put up a poll because I want to get a poll from you guys, like, because I think we have to pivot in some directions. So I want to get a poll from everybody. I'm gonna put up a poll, probably after I get through the show, like, should we start a nonprofit? So I'm gonna put that poll up. And I want to hear from y'all in the chat too, because I want to know, is that something that you think we should do? Because we have to pivot in a different direction, because obviously people are going to get ahead or try to get ahead of something that, you know, of a project that we've been building. And then all the energy and resources go to something that's not meant to build a sort of collective, right? So that's kind of where we are. So I'm gonna put that poll up. I'm getting a lot of yeses in the thing. So I want you to let me know, because I don't like just making decisions out of hand. You know, I'll think about stuff, and I want to hear from the community and what you all think we should do as we move forward with ADOS. So let me know what you think about that. And I'm gonna go to the calls. I'm gonna give me a minute as usual to set up, but you know, I just thought, you know, people might say that this is a divisive conversation. I felt like I had to have it because I feel like something is happening. There's a moment here, and you don't want to give that moment to people who understand that don't understand this is bigger. And I think people are going to begin to understand that this is bigger than police brutality. This is about ADOS, and this is about 400 years of oppression, and it has to be led by people who understand that and who know how to argue that case, because you're going to be around people who are going to argue that case. And if you have not been studying this for years, you are going to have some problems. So anyway, fam, give me a few minutes. I am going to set up the phones as per usual, and I will be back. So take your time, sip on your libation, and we'll be back in a few minutes. All right, fam, we are back. We are back. We are back. We are back. Oh, what is this? We are back. We are back. We are back. Now, listen, I proposed. I don't know if you all remember. I proposed like y'all be fighting on Twitter. So I proposed like to come on StreamYard and have a public, respectful debate with each other. And most of y'all chickened out. I didn't really see anything in my inbox. So what I'm saying is I have seen some disagreement in the chat over whether we should be a nonprofit or not. Okay, I accept that. I've never really wanted to be a nonprofit because I see people use nonprofits as slush funds. But then again, you have to have some type of organization I'm trying to figure out. So what I have said, I have asked you and y'all disagree. So like, when are you all going to come on the StreamYard and have this public airing out? Who want to have a conversation now? I don't want to just hear this back and forth. I don't want to just hear this kind of back and forth. I don't know what happened to the sound. Something happened. Something did happen to the sound, fam. Can y'all hear it? One of the little sounds just decided it just was gonna stop. I ain't never seen that before. You just decided you just not gonna play no more. So can y'all hear okay? Let me know if y'all can hear okay. I ain't never seen no mess like this. Okay, so anyway, fam, you won't be able to hear it good if you put on the headphones. One of the ears went out. So if you try to play it on headphones after this, you will only hear it on the right or the left ear, not the whole ear. So if you play it on headphones, you might want to come out of that at this moment because one of the ears went out. It just went out just like that. Ain't that something? I never seen nothing like that. Anyway, fam, let's go to the calls. And remember you can message me directly. At editor@breakingbrown.com. If you, like I said, if you have, yeah, it's gonna be monotone right now because only one ear is in. So especially if you have your little headsets in, so take them out. I know one ear went out. I see it on my screen. One of them just went totally out. Ain't that something? So you're gonna have to not do it in the earbuds. Cause the earbud, it just like that. Like old folks say, just like that, it went out. So I'm gonna go to the calls. Just give me a second. Give me 1 second before I go to the calls. I'm gonna go to the calls if you all can hear the calls fine. And we'll have a conversation. I do not know why I did that, and that is pissing me off. Cause I don't know why I did that. I hate not knowing stuff. Oh, anyway. Let me go to the first call. Ain't nothing I can do about it. If you don't listen, but I know what happened. Don't message me tomorrow about one ear went out. I know. I understand and I apologize, but I don't know what happened. I don't want to start over the show because then that's a whole nother thing. So I'm going to the calls. 310, what's going on?
What's up? I just want to start off. I challenge Marlon. I want the Marlon that we saw speaking today with the glasses and the hat and all that. I want him to come with all his fit. No, I'm just messing with y'all.
That's Malcolm X Marlon. You can't. He can't have him.
Look, shout out to all the moderators, Bakara Marlon, Critical, Margaret Reed, all of y'all, Princess. I can't even forget nobody. Serena is on, and Wishy Bumpy. But that's like you gotta say everybody's name.
Wishy Bumpy.
People don't get on you.
Wishy Bumpy. So, shout out Wishy Bumpy.
Let me get right to it. Can you pull up the Kamala picture first? The one that you had pulled up for a second. I'm gonna hit two things. I'm gonna hit the Kamala thing, and then I'm gonna hit that other image I sent to you. It's a trip because the Kente cloth thing has. We all, we on 106 right now in Adolph. But one of the things that's a trip. This is a tweet I put up is. It's not just that the Kente cloth thing doesn't make sense. It's that I would love for somebody to run up on a congressman and ask them respectfully, what is on your cloth? Like, tell me that symbol and just point to a symbol. Mm-hmm. And I wonder that none of them know what they had on their body. And it's important because it's not just like a cloth that has symbols that meaning. And I think that what's interesting about the cloth in some ways is that the cloth itself, it has this gold in it, And that gold means royalty and wealth. So you have these people supposed to be representing the interests of ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery. Flaw from Ghana, country that we know was involved with the American slave trade in terms of pushing us into the transatlantic. And they wearing a cloth about royalty and wealth. They're not wearing something involving MLK or Fannie Lou Hamer or Ida B. Wells. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's just,
it's not our lineage at all. Like, it doesn't represent us at all. Where's something that represents wealth? How the heck is that going to represent ADOS? It represents Ghana.
And how disrespectful it is.
Yeah.
It's totally, like, disrespectful. And I just come back to it, and I don't think they know if they even have a home. I'm willing to bet that not one of the Congress people knew what the symbols on that Kente cloth was. Well, let me not say not one. Maybe one or two. But I'm saying, like, generally they didn't even know that. They just know it's from Africa. Some probably didn't even know what country it's from. I'm willing to bet that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to hit that real quick, but the bigger reason I called in was the second point, if you could pull up that second image. I think one of the things that's happening with not only BLM, but we even saw it with the Breonna Taylor, when nobody thought about Breonna Taylor, is nobody deal with how ignorant this sexuality argument is because they don't want to deal with the blowback. And I will deal with it today in data because I need for everybody to understand it doesn't make sense in our race. So when you start dealing with this thing, the reason why you create subcategories is there's a main baseline group that is outperforming the rest of the other groups because they're getting privilege. Hey, all of these groups have made that baseline group heterosexual black male. The problem is they use dead heterosexual, largely black males, from what we know, that died from unemployment, poverty, and everything else to build their movement. But we're going to talk about it. But it's worse than that. Then they separate themselves out into any given niche and give half the story. So what do I mean? The reason why white women separate from white men is because white men have all of the wealth, well, large sums of it, let me say. And then they outperform them by patriarchy. You can't do that inside of the black race because we're the only group where when you add in the incarcerated, we likely make less than our women per dollar. The only group that goes to that is incarcerated at the rate that we have, the males. We're the only group that has the unemployment rate that we do. So when you say Black Lives Matter, there's no need to say any other group because there is no baseline group of heterosexual black males taking all the advantage. I want everybody to understand how ignorant this is. You have a lady who, I believe she's Nigerian, highly privileged, separating out herself and anchoring herself as a center, similar like I said with Kamala and the Opal young woman, on the backs of ADOS men living throughout the South and the East and the Midwest, running from everything from child support to selling cigarillos to support their children. I don't think we all understand this, so I want to read something just so we get a little clearer. I had sent this to Yvette, this from Wikipedia. Black women, same-sex couples are likely to face more economic disparities than black women in opposite-sex relationships. Black women in same-sex couples earn $42,000 compared to black women in opposite-sex relationships who earn $51,000, a 21% increase in income. But you don't tell what Eric Garner was making, or you don't talk about how George Floyd was unemployed. You don't deal with the fact that heterosexual black males are doing worse. We just know. See, we don't have to guess. Only one in five. Look, she has it on the screen right now. I just want to make sure I hit it just to be clear. 1 in 5 black men in all of 2016 didn't find no work. They didn't come up with that number for black women because that's not true for black women. It just wasn't that rate. Understand that when you pull up the numbers, young black males are incarcerated at a rate, and when I use young, I pulled the data, it's black men between the ages of about 19 and 40, they're incarcerated at a rate of like 9,000 per 100,000. Black women are at 300 per 100,000. This is not oppression Olympics when you have that kind of variance. Because what it's saying is that you don't, look, when you say Black Lives Matter, you don't need to partition out a group that outperforms your baseline group that much. Yes, it is outperforming that group when you don't go to jail. You barely go to jail. The other group goes to jail at that rate. Yes, it is outperforming that group when your earning power is way higher than the baseline. I think overall people just don't know the numbers. So they just make it up based on the 60s or the 50s or patriarchy or anything else. Part of the problem right now is everybody is trying to suck the bone marrow out of black communities and black ghettos, and particularly black men, to make their own narrative more important than it is in the whole story. Right now, what we need to be concerned about is ADOS people. I understand that they wanted to do a Black Futures last week, but you don't get to increase the number of trans in the study. You said it was 0.8, but you made it 4%. I think it's more like 0.1 or less. I would love for you to show me 0.8% of Black America that's trans. Not gay, but trans. Not homosexual, but trans. I apologize. This is what's going on. I hope I made it clear. I know it's a little hard to see what I'm saying, but I'm saying to you that you don't need to create subgroups when your main group that you're supposed to be using as a baseline is actually collapsed. It's just then you just use the generality. Maybe you can make it clear as I get off the line, man.
No problem, fam. I appreciate it, Tone. As always, Antonio Moore, family. So I appreciate it. And you like, here's the thing. Here's the thing that's so interesting. Like he said, like, you know, you could make that case if black men were like white men. See, we can't talk about patriarchy. Black men are like white men, and they have all the money. See, white women got tired of, it wasn't, you were always a part of the family, but you got tired of like the man being the head of that household and controlling the money and controlling the wealth. We don't have that situation where the black man got the money, he's going to give it to us. So like we got a bunch of wealthy black men, and so we're going to center ourselves in the movement because all these wealthy black men, they got the money, they won't give us the money, so screw you. That's not what's happening, and the black men are just telling us, well, you should just stay home and not have no money or whatever, and we all have money, and you play this role. Like, that's not our situation. And like you see, like we don't have a situation where black men are like just outperforming black women. That's not the situation. As a matter of fact, they're incarcerated like at more than all the women in the world. So like I don't know how we get here to like carve out, unless it's a vanity project. That's the only way I can see it. Let me go to the calls, fam. I'm going to go to 202. 202, I'm coming to you. 202, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette. This is Dwayne Moody from Washington, D.C. How are you?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. How are you?
I'm fine. I can't complain as well. It's so funny that you bring up Mr. Clyburn, because when I was doing Primo Tennis, I believe, in Columbus, he actually gave me the key to the city. Okay. But before I even go into that, I want to just say thank you very much for political education, because
thank you.
Prior to me meeting you all and your videos and Antonio's videos or what have you, I have been quite blind in regard to politics. Oh. But as far as the Clyburn and the Kente talk, it's just really, really sad. And to even tie it all into the Billy Porter thing, it's unfortunate, but being in the business of Hollywood, they train the black gay men. They condition us to not even want to be with black men. And they condition that not only from white people, but also from black people as well. I never forget when I was on tour, I was constantly told by other people, oh, you're never going to be able to be somebody black. Forget that. So it's kind of unfortunately conditioned in the entertainment world for black people not to even be associated with black people in regard of a personal relationship. It's really kind of unfortunate.
But why is that? So what is the reasoning behind, like, you're in the entertainment world and you'll never be able to be with somebody black? What's the reasoning behind that? Are we just slaughtered and slow? What is that?
Status. It's the same thing you were saying. That's a contagion to wealth.
Oh, okay.
But the problem is that the people within the actual business, because they get picked, they don't see it as that way. It's a contagion to wealth. And, I mean, because it's all about status. If I'm with this white person or what have you, then, of course, I won't be seen as that black person they think of on television as that thug. It's unfortunate, but not many of us, but too many of us in the entertainment industry bring that into the field. And what is happening is that many of my colleagues that are on Broadway right about now, what's happening is that they will fight for class-based issues. But when I bring up issues in regards to Black Americans specifically and what have you, they'll always say, well, I'm not blaming the man for this, I'm not blaming the man for that. But when you turn around, they have no problems with women's rights, LGBT rights, again, class-based issues. But whenever you bring up anything specific, as far as Black American and Black folks, forget it.
Everything but racial stuff. Now, and so, you know, my question would kind of be in terms of the Billy Porters of the world and like how they see life or whatever. Like, is there no, I don't really know how to put it. Is there no like kind of, in terms of anybody you talk to, if you haven't talked to them, I understand. But is there no kind of internal contradiction?
Well, I know Billy Porter. I went to school with Billy Porter.
Okay.
My apologies for interrupting you.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. You went to school with him, like, so he wasn't always that way in terms of like I don't know, but I'm wondering like if there's no internal contradiction. Like if you talk to them like outside of like Broadway and white people, just like, man, you know what it is. Like, do they still have any recognition of that, or are they just lost to us?
It's a cognitive dissonance. It's a disassociation, but want to be associated. I mean, if you look at his character on Pose, the actual character even talks about how the white LGBT community never talks about or never even works with the Black LGBT people. So they have it in Hollywood in the script, but for some strange reason, when it gets out into the actual realness of life, it's just a big, huge disconnect. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's very unfortunate, and thankfully it's not all of us, but it's too many of us in the industry where we get caught up in this idea of, I got picked, I'm chosen, I'm no longer Black, I am so-and-so now. O.J. Simpson even said it.
Yeah, he did. I'm OJ. I'm not Black. I'm not Black, I'm OJ. But I would just wonder, like, because you can't, you don't always know, because you see like Michael Jordan come out now. Like Michael Jordan was the most raceless person in the world, and now he's talking about like Black people are tired of this, right? So it just kind of makes me wonder, like behind closed doors, like, okay, it's a racial, like you said, it's a dissonance. They just kind of, I had a thought and I thought of something else, and my thoughts bump into each other sometimes. I'm sorry. So I had a thought and I had another thought, but it kind of just makes me wonder, like, these people, like, okay, you're at the Met Gala, you're doing all that stuff, right? And do you even think about, or do you, or how much of this, I know what I was going to say, how much of this do you think is connected to, like, I firmly believe Clarence Thomas's, how he views politics is connected to trauma that he experienced from Black people, right? I'm just wondering, how much of this is trauma? Like, that like these people might have experienced, somebody said something negative or homophobic, and like you carry that weight with you. How much of that do you think is at play here?
Well, again, I haven't talked to Billy in a couple of years or a few years or what have you, even though he and I are friends on Facebook or what have you, so I don't really know his mind. But, I mean, yes, I do believe that there is an internal trauma that is involved because, again, I was that way as well. I was the most confused thing while I was touring all over the world. It was ridiculous because, again, myself, I was in the hood. I was picked, went to the white universities, traveled all over the world or what have you, and I got lost in myself and got lost in trying to figure out who I am. But I think also, again, trauma does stick with you. But for me, I never internalized the trauma in regards to Black people picking on me as a gay person. Because I also knew that if I was in a white neighborhood, they'd want to pick on me as well. So I don't understand why some people internalize that and some don't. But again, I think also, too, in behind the closed doors as well, definitely we know who got the money as well, too.
Okay. All right. Okay.
We know who paid the bills. Okay. But fortunately for me, when I was doing remote tennis, my boss was a Black woman. But that's a whole other story. Okay. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, some people, experiences matter though. Like how you experience things matter. So I understand that, and I appreciate you calling in and giving us that point of view. Yeah, I get it. Point of view. Yeah. You never know what somebody would do.
It's unfortunate, but it happens. And I mean, 2 Black gay men that I was actually working with, who were actually partnered at the time, even told me, you will never be able to date a Black man. And that stayed with me for years. And it's like we cause this craziness within ourselves because, again, we know as far as that wealth level is concerned, and because we don't have the wealth, we didn't get the education. because I had the education. Unfortunately, I wouldn't probably be able to relate to black people in general as far as they were concerned, even though I grew up in the hood.
You done escape hatched out. I hear you. I understand. No, I get it.
That was very interesting.
Yeah,
but I'm a professor at the university in Boston. You and I follow each other, so I'm just very grateful that I had a chance to actually talk with you.
Okay, I appreciate it, fam. I appreciate that, and I appreciate that.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you, and I appreciate that glimpse into like how they talk. Like, thank you, fam. I appreciate that glimpse into like what they tell you. Like, you'll never be able to date a black man no more. You might as well get that up. Like, you might as well. That's never gonna happen. And you. They might say you're above that now anyway, aren't you? Aren't you? So, that was interesting. That's interesting. I never thought about it that way in terms of like how people are groomed when they how people are groomed when they get to these little Hollywood and Broadways. I appreciate that, Carl. I never thought about that. I never been on Broadway, but I gotta think about that. Just you would never be able to date a black man. Well, damn. Sorry to people watching with kids. 580. I'm coming to you. 580. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, what's going on? This is Avery from representing ADOS, Colorado. How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you? How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Hey, listen, I'm from Oklahoma, and I'm from a town called Lawton, and in that town, there's a tribe, Comanche tribe, I think, Comanche Nation. And I was, at one point with a friend, we got pulled over by the city police officers. Okay. And they had to call Native Comanche Nation police to come back up because we were on their land. Okay. What I was calling to suggest and see what your opinion is on ADOS becoming a nation and recognized like the Native Americans.
I think we missed that moment. Like we never got that. Like we never got made a nation and sovereignty and all of that. So we missed that moment. Like we're like, I don't think we understand like they still do a lot of stuff that comes from like Native American like we have been so like we're not integrated in terms of Americanness, like in terms of like we live in our own neighborhoods. But I don't think we really understand how much like we're American. Like you be watching the same thing, same sports if you're men or women too, but whatever. Like, so that ship has sailed. So there has to be a different solution because we're not a nation state. And even with the Indians, the Native Americans, they still got they got a lot of stuff in terms of like some of them tribes are wealthy or whatever, and then some of them are dirt poor. I don't even know if that's the answer for them in terms of how they did it, but they sure do. I think if you want to get anything from the Native Americans, understand how they understand that they're a tribe and they exclude other groups. Like they understand clearly that we're not the same as everybody else. We're not people of color. We're Native American, and you better treat us with specificity. I think that's the main thing. I honestly think that's the main thing we could get from them.
So you think it's a long shot?
I wouldn't even try. I don't want to. I don't want to be a nation state. I just want my wealth. Like, and I want a protection against these predatory sharks, and I want a redistribution of land, and I want a whole lot of stuff that I don't want to get into right now. But I want that. Most of what I want is inheritance to be American. I don't want to be on a nation state. I don't want to be on a reservation. I don't want to be on a reservation, a plantation. I don't want to be on none of that. I just want what makes me American. And I want to not be a part of a plundered group. We should not be a plundered group. We should be a group that has the wealth that our people have earned, that's been passed down to us. So we can be American and we can withstand coronavirus or anything else. That's what I want.
Awesome. Hey, I appreciate it.
No problem, fam. I appreciate it. Thank you for calling in.
All right.
I'm going to the next call. I'm going to 904. 904, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Your toenails all the way off.
I'm sorry?
Please get out my way. Thank you
very much. What are you doing? They cutting toenails?
Oh, my God.
Hello? Hello? 904?
Hello?
904, are you on the line?
Hey, Ben, I'm so sorry. How you doing? I'm sorry.
I'm good. You had a lot going on. Somebody tore their toenail off, and there's a lot going on your line. I know.
Yes. That's my bad daughter, my little 13-year-old that won't get out of my room so I can listen to your podcast in peace. Okay.
It's fine, family. We all got stuff we be doing. It's fine.
The whole world just heard me tell my daughter I was going to pull her toenails
Yes,
off.
yeah, we did.
Anyway.
We did. We did.
Her toenails are still intact.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate like the country that thank you.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that was definitely a good laugh.
We appreciate
I kind of, with all of this stuff going on, hey, our moods are not always great.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to be able to get in and talk to you. The major thing about like what you guys are saying right now, like everybody's just on totally different pages right now. So like the last caller was talking about how, you know, he can see things through a different lens, I guess, as him being you know, a gay black male.
Yep.
You know, so he's seeing things, you know, through a different lens on his end. You know, and then you got people that, you know, have a little bit of money and they see things through a different lens, and then you got the rest of us, you know, that's really, you know, going through the struggle. So we kind of have to, like, you know, fight those different entities, because you have people that, you know, they're not doing as bad as the majority, so, you know, they don't really feel that fight. And then you have people, you know, which I hate to say it, but, you know, like gay males or whatever in this society, they have different avenues that they can go down to kind of get that a piece of that American dream. So
yeah, they have an escape hatch. Some of them have an escape hatch. Well, if you do this, if you play it this way, yeah.
Correct. So it's kind of like, you know, we kind of have to see, you know, the lens that everybody's looking out of, you know, and then kind of like come together on that level. But I think like the main thing when I hear people talking about certain things that need to be fixed, I'm just really getting to the point, like, we all know that reparations is the answer to all of it. So when you say police brutality, the answer to that is reparation. When you say redlining, the answer to that is reparation. When you say mass incarceration, the answer to that is reparation. So it's like we're trying to fix all of these different things, but we can do this one huge thing that will fix everything.
Yeah, we all need to, and I agree with you, fam. We all need to rally around the one big thing. Like, we keep trying to, like, everybody, this person's over here is trying to work on this. And I'm not saying we can't try to work on different things, but in terms of the one big national thing that we rally around. I'm not talking about kind of, you know, we all have to work on budgets and everything, you know, and vote on that in terms of our local elections. But in terms of, like, nationally, what we rally around, that has to be a agenda with reparations as the heartbeat of it. And I don't think, like, you know, and I think people will say, well, I don't think it's going to happen. Well, if it doesn't happen, then maybe you just die out. I don't think you understand. I don't think the people who say it might not happen don't understand the consequences of it not happening. The consequences of it not happening are dire. Like, and you're seeing that with coronavirus. I don't think people were on the street just because of rest in peace, George Floyd, just because of what happened. I think people were on the streets too, especially some of our white brothers and sisters, because they were also frustrated. They were people at home. They ain't got no money. They frustrated. All the money went to the top percent or whatever. And I think we have to give even them who want to be allies. I got to give you something big to rally around. This is the cornerstone right here. The cornerstone is not police brutality. Police brutality is a consequence of how, like, we've been positioned in society, and we have to deal with that. You know, wealthy people in wealthy neighborhoods don't have the police as a problem.
They keep us going after a symptom of the problem.
Yep.
And it's just a distraction. And I really feel like, hell, they're not giving us anything any damn way, so why not say reparation?
You got to. It's
not like,
yeah, but it's like you know what it's like. It's like somebody feeding you spoiled food every day, and then you get diarrhea. Well, you keep getting diarrhea in the runs because somebody keeps feeding you spoiled food every day. And so you can't keep saying, "Oh, I need some. I need some. I need some for my bowels. Ooh, my bowels loose." You can't keep saying that. At a certain point, you got to say, "Stop feeding me spoiled food." And for us to spoil food is like we're a plundered group, no protection. Like we're just here to have to feed companies. And so that's what it is. But I'll let you have the last word, fam.
Yeah, I mean, everything you just said is 100% correct. I mean, that's why I listen to you guys, because you guys are focused on the end game instead of all of these little side distractions. I guess because people are just too scared to say it. I mean, I don't know. I believe they have just ingrained this fear in us to a point where we're just paralyzed. And there's certain things that we're just scared to do. And I don't know why it's for fear of losing something, because we don't have anything. So it's like you're losing. What are you losing? Section 8? What are you losing? Medicaid? HUD housing? I mean, you're not losing anything. Yeah, so it's like we're scared to speak out against something for fear of losing the little.
Well, we're not. What you're saying,
we have.
What you're saying, fam, and I'll just leave it here. And I want to thank you for calling. I appreciate it, and you gave us a wonderful laugh. But what you're really saying is that we're not living an American life anyway. Thank you, fam. We're not. What she's saying is so on point in the sense of we're not living an American life anyway. Like we're scraping and scrumping and that's the thing. Whether you selling cigarellos, you ain't supposed to be selling cigarellos. Like you're supposed to have an American life, and what gets us here is that that's not what we have, and that's what we have to deal with. And so it is, and that is absolutely true. So I'm gonna go to my next call. I'm going to 810. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, my name is Verna. I'm calling from Flint. I can't believe I'm actually on with you, Yvette. Nice to finally make it.
What's up? How you doing? How's Flint?
I'm okay. How about yourself?
I can't complain at all.
I'm glad to hear that. I came in late, so when I came in, you were talking about Kente cloth.
Yep. You weren't that late.
And I saw the picture of Kamala Harris with the Kente cloth, and Pelosi and several other people, Congress people, kneeling with Kente cloth on. What is that all about? What is that?
Yeah, but you know what it's all about is that they're doing something that would have worked before ADOS, and it just doesn't work post ADOS. People don't understand that there's a pre-ADOS and a post-ADOS world. Like you announcing your plan and kneeling with Kente cloth would have worked a while ago when everybody was still on We All Black the same. It just don't work no more. And I don't think anybody really knows how to deal with ADOS and how ADOS has changed everything.
And Ghana, Kente cloth is Ghanaian, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And Ghana is not even an independent country. They're like the Chinese, aren't they? The rulers of Ghana, pretty much.
Well, I wouldn't say the rulers, but the Chinese have been trying to do business and infiltrate a lot of different countries in Africa. So it is what it is.
Oh my God, for over 30 years now. Because when I first started traveling to the Bahamas in the 80s, the Chinese were trying to infiltrate the Bahamas even then, and they had just, not too many years before that, gotten their independence from the British. So, yeah, I get that. But I do want to, can we talk about police brutality and what do you guys think about the divestment of these police department?
Okay, let me just say this. I just want people to be careful. I'm gonna say what I have to say. Listen, we live in a society with a whole lot of guns.
Yeah.
We live in a society that doesn't allow a certain group of people to have what they need to survive, and that's a lot of ADOS and a little bit of some other people, but they're not as poor as we are. I'm not saying that you can't reimagine policing. I think that's totally a possibility. There's a lot of things that are possibilities. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you how to think about what you do. You still have to think. I saw somebody when they were shouting down the little man. What's the little man? The little Minneapolis mayor. When they were shouting him down, I heard somebody say, "We don't need no police." And
okay.
And I just had to think about that for a second, because you go to You go to work every day, and if you're lucky enough to have a job, a lot of people don't. You leave that house by itself for 8 hours. Now, so to say I don't need no police, I think part of the problem is like we're on the bottom, and so like we get the brunt. So the police can run up on us and just stomp us out. Now we've seen the police stomping a lot of white people these past few days, but so there is a problem there's a problem with the police, like in general, but it's disproportionately usually with us. They got a taste of being black these last few protest days, but you know they have. But I think we have to like the problem is like the police and how they treat us and why they do us the way they do to us and how they are incentivized and how they are militarized and how they come back from Iraq and treat us like Iraqis and all. There's a whole lot of stuff I would say before I just say we don't need no police. Maybe you need police from where we are. Like maybe we need more police, and I'm not saying just black police. I'm not talking about just because we know police they can internalize white supremacy just like anybody else, and you can be a black police and do the same thing.
Absolutely.
But I'm talking about like
and people have assimilated so much, you know, in the last 30 years, 40, 50 years anyway.
Yeah, and the only thing I will say about it, fam, is just like I just want everybody to think deeply. Like you can't. This is not a moment to just kind of. We ain't gonna have no police and da da da. No, the problem isn't that somebody comes up and says, "Hey, guy, are you all right?" That's okay. That's what you want. Are you doing all right? I just want to check on you.
I actually have to say that because being from Flint, my family owned a liquor store, and our store was the first physical location for Foot Patrol on the south side of Flint, Michigan. So I don't have a problem with police so long as they're respectful and they actually are owning up to their oath to protect and serve. As long as you're doing that, we need them. Somebody shot into my house the other night. And so, you know, I called the police. They're always shooting in my neighborhood, which used to be a nice neighborhood. It's gentrifying now, and, you know, we have these young black people that are undereducated, undercultured, and they're just out here with these guns. And that is a problem.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. They made firecrackers legal again where I live, and I don't never know whether somebody's shooting or whether somebody done lit off a firecracker. Exactly. I feel like I live in a war zone. I don't know whether somebody popping one off or whether somebody just lit a match and they having fun. I don't know what's going on no more. But I understand what you're saying. See, around the world they have policing, right? Like in some countries they don't even carry guns because they haven't flooded the whole community with guns. But you see other places where policing is done very differently. What we do here.
I don't know if they carry guns now, but they used to not carry guns.
Yeah. Yeah, so the thing is to me, like the thing is about how we police in America and why police the way they do in America. I would also like to see social service people and be able to like on call with police. So if police come somewhere, if police get a call and say, "Hey, we got a call. There's a woman with a mental illness in the street with a knife," I want that police to be able. I want to be able to provide funding for that police to arrive with somebody from social services. Who is equipped to like
that. I like that.
Yeah, I want to be able to see that because the police ain't equipped with that. And that ain't the police job. Now that's not what we're talking about right now. We got a lot of police that just sock you in the jaw. You a Negro, whatever. I'm gonna tase you, I'm gonna sock you, whatever. But there's a whole.
And they take our young people. They just take them straight to jail.
Yeah.
Them, and that's the problem. They use us for revenue too.
Yeah, just to make
but they make the situation worse by jailing us and making us pay court costs and all of that.
Yep.
So many of us don't know our rights, so we fall for that. We don't fight. We don't have you don't have the resources or the references to fight.
You hit something important though. You hit on something important. How police are used like to arrest and ticket people to get revenue. We saw that in Ferguson. That's something else that has to stop. You're gonna have to get that out of general taxation or something. You can't basically make us afraid to drive And you target ADOS neighborhoods with that stuff where you just ticket and we can't go outside for you. What you doing on the corner for?
You got pulled over on a bike. On a bike.
Did you?
What are you doing on a bike that you should be pulled over?
Exactly. I agree, fam. But I think it's a complicated conversation. See, the thing is, we're in a place where nobody wants to have the nuanced conversation about. First of all, this group has no wealth. And police have been trained in America to protect wealth, and we ain't got none. And you got to deal with that. But then there's so many other aspects of this thing that, so people want simple answers. And the simple answer is just defund them all, and we're going to figure it out. And so, like a lot of places in the world, when you don't have police, like a lot of, like, underdeveloped countries, what you have is that you have to pay for police. And then the white people go and get their own police. They go privatize police and get their own police they can pay for.
Right.
And you have to pay the gains.
They do.
I ain't paying no gain.
Before I know other people want to talk to you, because I'm really happy that I had an opportunity to do so. Again, I live in Flint, and I'm kind of lazy here because I've been listening to your show for a long time now in your town, and I would like to be an active member in ADOS. And so, what do I do to make that happen?
You would like to be a what, fam?
An active member. I don't know exactly what ADOS does as a. You know, I'm an American descendant of slaves. My people are not from any other place.
Okay. Well, let me just say this, fam. So I can get somebody else in. I'm gonna end the call there. But you want to be involved, and you are in Flint. If you are in Flint, you know, I know we have people in Michigan. I don't know if that's Detroit or what. So if you are in Michigan and she wants to be involved, can you put in the chat like a Twitter account or something like that can be used to contact you if she wants to go to meetings at her local chapter? If you could do that, if you're in that area or whatever, could you, or in Michigan in general, maybe you can provide us with some direction of like what you all are doing. I'm not sure about Flint. I'm not sure. So if you could do that, that would be absolutely great. And this would be a great opportunity. If you're not doing it, if there's no really organizational apparatus there, that would be a good thing to kind of do. And if somebody is there or whatever, can you send me an email at editor@breakingbrown.com to Flint, ADOS or whatever? I'd appreciate it. I want to talk to you. Let me go to my next call. I am going to, where am I going? 240. 240. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
What's up, Yvette? This is Ross from the
Ross,
DMV.
how you been and where you been?
Girl, I've been up here trying to run around and do a whole lot of stuff, drink my water, stay healthy. How about yourself?
I'm healthy. That's all I can. Listen, in the pandemic, I'm happy if I'm healthy. I'm good.
Look, they still got PG County shut down, girl. We on level 1 still. They ain't opened us up beyond that, so it is what it is, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. Ain't nothing you can do about that.
I wanted to give a shout out to everybody that had called in. I wanted to definitely say hello to my brother Dwayne Moody, who has been putting it down all day. Seemed like on social media. Kicking back the Wakanda Pander Bears. We call them the Pander Bears. They pandering and they bears. That's what's happening in D.C. But anyway, I wanted to kick it over to talking a little bit about Muriel Bowser. That's the mayor of Washington, D.C., and how she had the Black Lives Matter painted and graffiti all on the street. So letting y'all know, you know, that right there is just, I don't know what that is. I wanted to thank get everybody's attention to the Washington Post from 5 days ago. It says the black-white economic divide is as wide as it was in 1968. Isn't that the year that Dr. King was murdered, assassinated?
Oh, my God.
Yeah. There are 14 charts to show how deep the economic gap is and how little it has changed in decades. The COVID-19 recession is also hitting black families and businesses far harder than white. So please don't paint graffiti on the street saying Black Lives Matter
when in reality in Washington, D.C., the gentrification on steroids is showing that it doesn't matter, okay? So I wanted to send that out to the mayor of Washington, D.C. Y'all took what I said regarding the police brutality being a symptom of white racism and the racial wealth gap. And we do need reparations. We need everything that goes along with that, and we need federal protections. So I'm gonna let you go, Yvette, because I'm not gonna hold you on long. But I do want everybody to read that article. Like I said, it came out on June 4th by Heather Long and Andrew Van Dam. Okay, and I'll talk to you, sis. Y'all be safe out there.
Appreciate it, fam. Appreciate it. Heather Long does a lot of little good articles over there. So shout out to her. Appreciate it, fam. Appreciate it, Roz. As always, we appreciate Roz coming in and giving us the real deal about what's really going on in D.C. Child, ain't nobody worried about that Black Lives Matter thing. You done tatted the street up, child. Ain't nobody worried about that. I'm going to 256. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, it's the political guy.
What's going on?
Nothing. I called in because I wanted to talk about CBC and them in the Kente clause.
Okay.
I'm just fed up with the CBC right now because that's not how you show solidarity. One way to show solidarity for Black Americans would have been to use the Juneteenth flag if you want to use anything, because we don't know what those Kente clause mean and where they come from, and they do have significant cultural meanings to them. It's like wearing a prom dress to a swim meet. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that and you don't know what you're doing. And
let me ask you something, friend. Let me ask you something. Hold on, fam. Let me ask you something. You said they should have used the Juneteenth flag. Let me ask you something, fam. How far away are we from Juneteenth? Do you know?
2 weeks, about.
Right around there. I think it's like the 19th or something like that. So you understand. Yeah. I think everybody needs to understand the context of this. We are right before Juneteenth. We are like right before. And instead of doing some Juneteenth stuff, you went and put on Kente cloth. Understand, like, I just need everybody to wrap their head around that, but just to understand like what they did. Like, this is not even like they forgot. You're in the same month. Close. Come on, man.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, who are these people? Like, who is the CBC to not know that Juneteenth is coming around the corner? We did the Juneteenth HR 40 hearing last year, so you know at least from last year that June 19th is Juneteenth, and it has some cultural significance to Black Americans. Yeah. Why are we not celebrating that? And just another thing about the protests and the march, they are a little bit out of order. And I just want to pose this to the rest of ADOS. If you see somebody that you know that's putting on a protest, reach out to them and just say, hey, I'm this person or that person, because we have to be on the front lines. I know in Alabama it was a lot of white people organizing protests, which I'm fine with it because they need to get on board too with ending racism, but we need to be there as the knowledgeable ones, because I was at a protest and our NAACP president, he was saying that, talking to a group of young guys, saying that we create wealth within ourselves. And I'm just like, okay, this is the leader of the NAACP. This is why we can't get anywhere, because our leadership doesn't take us seriously. They don't take learning about what's going on in Black America seriously, because he's removed from the hood now. He was a part of the hood, but I'm not going into his background, but he's no longer there. And he owns a business that employs Black people in Decatur. And that's a good thing, but how you got to where you got is not the same way that we will get there, because you did what you did in the early 80s and 90s when some things had hit the community. I'm just going to leave it there. That
we know what it is, yep.
And you took advantage. Go ahead.
No, I say we know what it is. Go ahead, yep.
Yeah, and you took advantage, and you created wealth from that, and then that way, you created money, a stream of income from that, and you built your life on that. Now, you can't expect to go out and tell these kids all of this BS and not explain to them how you got to where you are now.
Absolutely right. People don't want to tell the truth, though. It's a lot of lying going on, but you know, some people gonna collapse. Like, I mean, in terms of their life, I don't mean them. I don't mean they gonna have a collapse. I mean, in terms of their life, it's gonna collapse. And I'm gonna just put it out there honestly. Like, you know, you talk about white people going to the protests. I said a long time ago on this show, like, white people have to sacrifice, and I have no problem when the reparations protests come. If you white and you in front of me, I have no problem letting you take that rubber bullet, and I'm just gonna like come around and be like, you all right? You good? You all right? No, we've been taking them stuff long ago. You took that one for. No, I'm not. So I ain't got no problem. So I understand that. But you know, I think we have to talk about who's there as opposed to who's leading. Because one of the things that happened with the King March too, when the riot happened, King was the one who came out and said this and interpreted the rage for the rest of America to understand. Like, part of what happens here is that there is no interpretation of what's happening. No, and what the demands are. Like, you know, when we want reparations, we have, this is how much. This is what we want, right? So there has to be that part of it too. Somebody has to come out and say, this is what you saw. Right? So it is what it is. I'm going to let you have the last word, fam.
Just the last word. I sent you an email about being on StreamYard.
Did you?
The nonprofit conversation ain't really, yeah, I did. The nonprofit conversation really ain't my conversation, but any other detractors to the ADOS movement, you know, just hit me up.
All right, fam. Okay. I'll look for it and see if I missed it. I appreciate it. Thank you for calling, fam.
All right.
I'm going to take another, probably my last call. Unless it's a crazy call. You know, if it's crazy, I don't take it, and I have to start all over again. I'm going down to 678. 678, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
678, what's your name?
Turn down your background. 678.
Hi, this is Pam. Can you hear me?
Yeah, turn down your background.
Yeah, I turned it down.
Okay. What's on your mind?
Okay, so, first of all, I just want to say I'm not ADO. I am black, but I'm not ADOS.
Okay.
I'm Nigerian American. I was born here, but I was raised in Nigeria, and I came back here for school. I'm a big advocate for the ADOS movement. I've actually been that way since I was in high school, and I used to tell a lot of my friends who are African American that, you know, you guys deserve reparations, and they used to laugh at me. They used to tell me that, you know, why are you saying that? Like, we're American, we got everything. And I'm like, not really, you know. Where I'm from, the upper class, they have homes here, they live an elite life, and this is your country, you built this place, you should have an elite life as well.
Ain't that the truth?
It is the truth. But I wanted to get back on topic about what you said with BLM. So what I'm noticing is that because I've lived in about 22 countries, and I have friends from around the world. And what I'm noticing is that a lot of people in different parts of the world are attaching themselves to this. I have, you know, friends in Palestine, and they're putting up George Floyd's picture, and then they're putting up a Palestinian man, and they're trying to juxtaposition the two. Meanwhile, these people have convenience stores in the hood, and they give nothing back. So, and I'm just looking like, what are you doing? When have you ever given a damn about blacks? Like, this is crazy.
Well, you know, they did that. They did that. I saw them do that in France too. Like, they said something about George Floyd, and then they immediately went to something else in France, and it immediately became about France. So it's almost as if, like, even around the world, everybody is kind of anchoring themselves in what's happening here, but like not necessarily making any contribution to the movement, but using it to like center themselves in the conversation.
They are. I called out a lot of people for it. I've been calling out people online, along with, like, I've not been marching, but I have been doing donations, and I've been signing a lot of petitions. So, but what I've been doing is I've been calling out a lot of people, and I've been saying, if you come from a country that's very, very anti-black, that has a caste system, that is obsessed with skin whitening products and skin bleaching products, then how dare you run around and say Black Lives Matter? Meanwhile, you treat your own dark-skinned people like they're worse than nothing. For me, I don't get it. And even the dark-skinned people from there, they come here and they look down on African Americans. And I'm just looking like, what is this nonsense? You people are confusing yourselves.
Now see, you're a problem for them because you done traveled a lot, and you don't. They can't see. Most of the time, what happens a lot of times with people when they interact with us is that like, oh, they like, well, you ain't been nowhere, you don't know. So I'm going to tell you a story about the world that's not necessarily true. And so I think the problem that you present as an ally who's not ADOS, and you talk to them like you present a problem for them. I've lived in 22 countries. I know what you do. I know what you do over there. You can't lie to me when you get here and make up a whole nother story. But I think it's true.
Absolutely. And I tell them to their face. I tell them I know where you're from. I know what village you're from. I know how the caste systems are set up. I talk to them about language. I talk to them about political structure. I'm like, I know your stuff. Please don't come here and act like we're all one. We're not one. You okay, let's say you go to the clubs and you listen to like Future or something like that. You know, let's say you're from Pakistan or Afghanistan or whatever, and let's say you like hip hop. When you go home, you're not listening to hip hop. You're listening to Bollywood. You're eating chicken biryani. Like, stop it. I know your culture. I know what you do. Stop with the nonsense.
Oh, no, but you're exactly right. Like people like to be kind of entertained by us in a certain way, and kind of like signal a virtue signal. Like, I'm with you. And I'm doing this. No, you're not. You're not really with me, and you're not. Don't do all this stuff. Black and brown people. You're not. When you go home, it's not black and brown. It's Pakistani. Let's study for you to get into med school or whatever.
It's not. And I have to have. And I've actually been trying to do like a petition. No, I won't really say a petition, but like a what's it called? Just some kind of like an awareness movement where I try to educate a lot of the older Nigerian. I'll start with Nigerian because that's where I'm from. Yeah. I'll start to discuss with the older Nigerian generation because a lot of them are very big on saying, oh, you know, the Black Americans, they're lazy. And I actually just educated my mom. I told her about Jim Crow. I told her about Emmett Till. I told her about Dred Scott. I sent her the list of all the things that have happened to African Americans. And I said, if this happened to you, would you not be in the same state that they're in? Ooh. And she was like, I get it. You know, I get it now. I feel really sorry. And I'm like, oh, and my mom has 2 master's degrees. Yeah. She has 2 master's degrees. So this is not an idiot. And you know, my grandfather has a master's degree on my mom and my dad's side. Mm-hmm. Both of them have master's degrees. And I'm like, think about it when because my grandfather from my dad's side got his PhD from the United Kingdom. And I'm like, think about it. That was in the 30s. What were their people doing in the 30s? They were sharecroppers. They didn't get the chance to go to school. Oh. They weren't even considered people. But we got the chance to go to school. I'm 3rd generation, college educated. And a lot of African American families, they're 1st generation college educated. And
if at all. Yep. If at all.
Go ahead.
No, I said you're right. We're 1st generation, if at all. But I think.
Yeah.
Let me just say this. I want to thank you for doing that for the people around you and your mom, because what happens is like people presume that they know the ADOS story, and like they don't realize it. Like no, you've been educated by the dominant culture here, and like they tell you and they tell everybody that like these ADOS is just lazy. They don't really want to do nothing, and they want to live in the ghetto, and they got bad culture, and like. A lot of people just kind of just kind of go with that and run with that, especially if you immigrated here. It's not your business. It's not your story. So, I appreciate immigrant allies who come out and say, no, this is not what it is. You got to understand that. You got to understand their history. And like, I think we could, if we had
been an ally for a long time.
Yeah, like if we had somebody like you,
for a long time, and I've tried to educate. I've even tried to, encourage a lot of like African Americans. Like, a lot of these, Africans that you're running to, like these are my people. I know the kind of shit they say behind your back. So I try to talk to them, and a lot of them have told me that, like I'm jealous and that I'm trying to bring division. And I'm like, no, these are my people. I'm telling you the truth about I'm telling you what they say from both, because I live both here and in Nigeria. I'm trying to tell you what they say. Like, not all of them hate you. It's a lot of them that do like you, that are down with you, that did fight with you in the civil rights movement. But then there's a lot of them that honestly, genuinely don't care. They view you as lazy, and they pass that on to their kids. I'm 28. They pass that on to my generation. And my generation, even though a lot of us, that are here, they went to school with Black Americans, and they joined the Black Student Alliance, and they're out marching with BLM. Inside, they're still got contextualized. Okay, I did this, and this. What? I cannot marry a Black American. I have to go marry a Nigerian. Like, I'm Igbo, so it's like, okay, I have to go marry an Igbo. And even within our community as Igbos, it's like I have to stay within like my own village or my own state. But that's a story for another day. But my whole point is, there's still that internalized, I'm cool with Black Americans. Like, again, I will listen to Future. I love Beyonce. I'm gonna, I'm gonna watch Insecure, which is one African, one African American.
The chat wants to know. The chat wants to know. Let me just say this, fam. The chat wants to know if you have a Twitter. The chat wants to know if they can follow you on Twitter. So if you
I'm not on Twitter.
Okay, you're not on Twitter.
I post a lot of stuff on Instagram, but that's about it. I'm not on Twitter, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, if you want to share, put it in the chat. But I just want to say that I part of what I think we need, and I kind of experienced that too. Going to Howard University, I had a lot of friends who were not ADOS, and you kind of hear, like, most of them are real cool and real supportive, but then they have other people come around and you sort of, because you're the ADOS in the room, eating jollof rice, you kind of hear stuff, and you're just like, everybody ain't the same. Everybody ain't your friend. Yeah. Everybody doesn't feel the same way that your friend here, who is a good friend, invited you here. Everybody doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Like, right. So that's kind of like
I can't tell you how many fights I have had with my mom on that word akata. I cannot tell you. Like, if I started to tell you, we'd be on this phone for the next 3 days.
Wow.
I've been like, you cannot. But the thing is, so the word is actually a word from my tribe, and it's actually the name of a village, and it translates to stubborn. It doesn't. But when it's brought over here, it actually got bastardized and changed into something else because the whole African diaspora here adopted it. It's a word that we mostly used to refer to people from a specific village. It was never meant to be a derogatory term for African Americans. So that really got misconstrued because, again, there isn't even communication within the African community because when Ghanaians say, I don't deal with Hakadas, I just look at them, I'm like, I'm an Igbo. That's our word. You shouldn't even be using that.
You took that and made it about ADOS. You done took that word and made us Akata, and it ain't even your word, and you stole it. Ooh, there's a lot going on within the diaspora. Whew. Well, I want to, everybody said if you want to share your IG, please put it in the chat because people are asking, like, how do we follow her? But I just want to say, like, you are the quintessential perfect ally. Like, if we had somebody, like, we really need to do, like, a re-education plan for, like, a lot of, not all, I've run into a lot of good allies, so I'm not talking about everybody. But, like, somebody like you to be for allies.
One more thing?
Yeah, one last thing. Go ahead,
one more thing, please, Miss Yvette. So, my mom said after she read about Dred Scott and all the other race riots that she had a hard time sleeping. And I'm like, and my mom lives in Nigeria. She said she had a hard time sleeping. And I'm like, if you had a hard time sleeping, imagine how they've had a hard time living.
Ooh. Put your walk 1,000 miles in our shoes. And just understand. I think they just have to understand, like, who sent you this misinformation? Who told you this about us? Right? Like, the people...
And I'm still learning, by the way. I'm still doing everything that I can to educate myself. And not just on African Americans, but on the whole, like, African diaspora. Because I went to primary school in Nigeria, and they taught us, like, they gave us, like, a British education. So I'm actually having to come here and learn a lot of things about Africa and African Americans.
Okay. Re-educating yourself on all of it. Okay, I get it, fam. I get it.
Yeah, I'm having to re-educate myself on a lot of things. I mean, even though, like I said, I've been an ally for 10 years, and it used to always make me really mad when I told African Americans, you deserve reparations. If anything, you guys at least deserve some land in Africa. Like, if we're going to come here and get, passport, because I have a passport, so if I'm going to come here and get a passport and be able to enjoy everything on my social security number, you should be able to come to Africa, get dual citizenship. You shouldn't have to pay for it. Get dual citizenship, and you should get land. Because I have inherited land from both my mom and my dad, and I have inherited 2 homes that I've inherited from my mom. Both homes are 10 bedrooms, and I inherited from my mom. So I'm like, you should be able to come to Africa as an African American. Put out if you have like a what's it called, like a blood test, and say I'm from Yoruba tribe, I'm from Igbo tribe, and get land. Because to me, it's not a fair exchange.
Absolutely. I want to thank you, fam. I appreciated that call. I think that call was enlightening for everybody who was listening to that call. I want to thank you. I want to thank you from my heart for being an ally, and because this is the kind of re-education, and like, Nigerians will listen to you in the way they won't listen to me, right? And so, like, I appreciate you for that.
speak Igbo too, so I can convey it to the older people that whose English isn't really that good.
Exactly, and I appreciate that. And so I just want to say thank you to you. That call was really revealing, and I just want you to continue to do what you do and to tell allies that you all are appreciated. We focus on us because we at the bottom, and that's what we got to do. Whatever. But I just want to let the allies know that like this was a great call, fam, and you are appreciated, and we appreciate what you do, and keep doing it.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you, fam. Thank you. I appreciate it. Ooh, that was a great call to end on. That was a wonderful call. Like, and let me just say, that's the kind of allies we need. Like we don't need no allies. We ain't got to have no allies. No, you got to have somebody talk to that person, because that person's not going to listen to me. That person's not going to hear what I say. But when if you're a Nigerian and your daughter, and she speaks Igbo, like for the older people, and she's telling you, like, this is what it is. Like, you don't know what it is. We need that. Like, we need that person to do that. I'm not going to be able to re-educate allies and tell them, like, white supremacists have sold y'all on a bill of goods. I got to focus on ADOS. I can talk to y'all, but, like, I'm not going to get through like she's going to get through. So salute to her for doing that. And salute to her for talking to us and telling us we need reparations. We're like, no, you're just trying to divide. No, I know. What are we doing? So I appreciate it. That was a great call. That was a great call. That was an informative call. Ooh, yeah, I enjoyed that call. We're gonna be talking about that call. And I appreciate real allies doing work. Like, she don't have to do that. She could just live her life. She don't gotta advocate for us and tell everybody the truth and tell people what movies, what books to read and give them articles. She don't gotta do that. She could just do like some of them do, like a lot, and just live life and make money and not even worry about us. I appreciate the work. Like, we gotta appreciate the work. It's easy to just be like, no, I don't need no ally. Yeah, we do. And like, this one is good. Like, that's the quintessential one. Like, actually, if you're an ally, like, this should be the person that you frame how you advocate and teach. That's the one. That's how you teach your community about ADOS. That's how you move. That's how you do it. So that was wonderful. I appreciate it. Shout out to you. That was good. And I want to thank the fam for tuning in. It is well after midnight. That was a good call, though, so I did not want to cut that call off. I wanted that call to keep going so we could have the conversation. But now it is time to end for the evening. Fam, do not forget. Oh, don't forget that the third week, I think it's the 18th. The third the third Thursday of this month. Don't forget that that's an all call-in show. If possible, I would like for the people, at least the first half of the call-in show, to be people who have not called in before, if that's possible. So if you, for the call-in show on June 18th. And also, don't forget that the book club is it's July the 30th. That's the book club. So don't forget that the book club, this is the book we're reading, Black Immigration and the Remaking of Black America. Do not forget that. We will be reading that on July the 30th. And the call-in only show will be June the 18th. So please keep those two dates in mind. I would appreciate it. Before you go, please hit that like button. Please go to subscribetobrown.com. Those two things cost you nothing. Hitting that bell costs you nothing. Subscribing to the channel costs you absolutely nothing. So please do those things. If you want to donate, as always, you can go to donatebrown.com or patreon.com/WhyCarnell. I'm going to be looking in my inbox for those of you all who want to debate whether or not you want to be a nonprofit or not. So I'm going to be looking for y'all. Editor at breakingbrown.com. I'm going to be checking. I'm going to go in and make sure it's not a full email thing, because sometimes my email gets full. So, because I want to hear, and just if you all could, in the subject line of whatever email you send me, put StreamYard in the subject line. I would appreciate it. Just put StreamYard in the subject line. And I would like to hear the pros and cons, and y'all can debate it, and we can all decide like how we want to move forward, because I don't want to move forward unilaterally. I want to make a joint decision. So there we are. So until next time, fam, please be easy breezy. Take care of yourself. Finish your libations and go to bed. Till next time, fam.